Hello, my Capricorn. I need to share something with you today that honestly gave me chills when these cards came through. I was sitting with my deck this morning thinking about this profound question about karma and spiritual practice, and the universe delivered something so powerful for you specifically. We are going to look at 6 cards today that reveal the truth about your karmic journey and whether spiritual devotion can actually transform the heaviest burdens you carry. Before we dive in, I want you to know this reading is specifically for Capricorn energy. If you have Capricorn sun, moon, rising, or even strong Saturn placements, this message is absolutely for you. The energy coming through is intense, but also incredibly hopeful. And I think you are going to feel seen in ways you have not expected. The first card I'm seeing here is the Fool, and honestly, Capricorn. This is fascinating because the Fool is not a card I typically associate with your energy. You are the sign of structure, responsibility, and tradition. You are the one who climbs the mountain step by careful step. But here the Fool shows up at the beginning of this reading about karma and spiritual practice. And I think the universe is telling you something radical. The Fool represents the beginning of a completely new spiritual journey. When we talk about chanting Buddha's name or any spiritual practice clearing karma, the Fool is saying you need to approach this with beginner's mind. Here's what I am picking up specifically for you, Capricorn. You have been carrying so much weight for so long. You are the sign that takes on responsibility like it is your birthright. You shoulder burdens that are not even yours to carry. Family karma, generational patterns, societal expectations, all of it lands on your capable shoulders and you just keep climbing. But the Fool is showing me that spiritual practice is not another responsibility to add to your list. It is not another mountain to conquer with discipline and perfection. The energy here is about radical trust and surrender. When you chant Buddha's name or engage in any devotional practice, the Fool says you need to let go of the Capricorn need to control the outcome. You cannot karma clear your way to enlightenment through sheer willpower alone. What I'm seeing here is that your heavy karma is actually linked to this pattern of over-responsibility. Some of what you think is your karma to clear is actually ancestral, absorbed from family systems or taken on because you felt you had no choice. The Fool is inviting you to take a leap of faith into a completely different way of being. Instead of asking whether chanting can clear your karma as if it is another task to accomplish, the Fool asks whether you are willing to become innocent again, willing to trust that the universe might actually support you. If you stop trying to control everything, this card is showing me that yes, spiritual practice can clear karma, but not in the way your Capricorn mind wants it to work. It will not be a linear process where you do X amount of chanting and receive Y amount of karmic clearing. It is going to be more mysterious than that, more organic. The Fool asks you to step off the cliff of your certainty and trust that something greater will catch you. I'm also getting that some of you Capricorns have been skeptical about spiritual practices because they seem too simple or unstructured. You might think that real transformation requires suffering, hard work, grinding through the karma. But the Fool says that sometimes the most profound transformations happen when we approach the sacred with childlike openness, rather than adult cynicism. Let me pull the next card, because I am really curious what comes after this energy of new beginnings. The second card is the Tower and OK Capricorn. This is where things get real. If you have been wondering whether your karma is heavy, the Tower is basically confirming that yes, there are some structures in your life that need to completely collapse. But here is the thing that might shock you about the Tower in this context of spiritual practice and karma clearing. The Tower is actually a card of grace. I know that sounds wild because the Tower looks devastating. It is the card of sudden upheaval, everything you built crashing down, lightning striking the fortress you spent years constructing. But in the context of your question about chanting Buddha's name clearing heavy karma, the Tower is revealing something profound. Sometimes the karma itself is not the burden. The burden is the false structures you built trying to manage the karma. Let me explain what I am seeing for you specifically. Capricorn, you are a builder. When you experience pain, trauma, or karmic patterns, your instinct is to build protective structures around them. You create rigid schedules. You develop coping mechanisms that look like productivity. You construct an entire identity around being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who has it all together. You build towers of achievement to prove you have overcome your past, but here is what the tower is showing me. Those structures have become prisons. The very things you built to protect yourself from your karma have now become the karma itself. You are trapped in patterns of overwork, in the inability to rest, in relationships where you are always the responsible one, in a self-concept that does not allow for vulnerability or failure. When you engage in spiritual practice like chanting Buddha's name, what happens is not that the practice directly erases your karmic debt like some cosmic transaction. What happens is the practice creates a frequency that is incompatible with those false structures. The chanting, the devotion, the surrender involved in calling on Buddha nature, it literally vibrates at a frequency that causes those towers to crumble. This is going to feel terrifying for you. When your carefully constructed life starts falling apart, your first instinct will be to work harder, to rebuild faster, to get back in control. But the tower combined with the fool before it is saying that the falling apart is the healing. The destruction is the karma clearing. I am seeing that some of you are about to experience or are currently experiencing a tower moment. It might look like a career crisis, a relationship ending, a health issue that forces you to stop, a sudden realization that the life you built is not actually the life you want. And you might be tempted to see this as proof that the universe is punishing you, that your karma is too heavy, that you deserve this suffering. But the tower in this reading is saying the opposite. This destruction is actually the answer to your prayers. When you have been chanting, when you have been doing your spiritual practice asking for liberation from karma, this is what liberation looks like sometimes. It looks like everything false falling away so that what is real can finally emerge. The shocking truth that the tower reveals is that you cannot clear heavy karma while maintaining the structures that the karma created. You have to let the lightning strike. You have to let the tower fall. And the spiritual practice does not prevent this. It actually facilitates it. The chanting creates the conditions for necessary destruction. The third card coming through is the Lovers and Capricorn. This is where the reading takes a turn that I think is going to really resonate with you. After the Fool's invitation to begin again and the Tower's necessary destruction, the Lovers appears to show you what your karma is actually about at its core. The Lovers is not just a romance card. At its deepest level, the Lovers is about choice, alignment, and the fundamental question of whether you are living in harmony with your true nature. And what I am picking up for you, Capricorn, is that much of your heavy karma stems from choices made out of obligation rather than love. You are the sign of duty and responsibility. From a very young age, you probably learned that your worth was connected to your usefulness, your productivity, your ability to do the right thing even when it is hard. And so you made choice after choice based on what you should do rather than what you actually wanted. You chose careers because they were practical, relationships because they made sense, life paths because they were responsible. But here is what the Lovers is revealing. Every time you make a choice from obligation rather than alignment, you create karma. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because you are literally moving against your own soul's direction. You are creating friction between who you authentically are and who you think you need to be. And over time, over years and decades, that friction becomes the heavy karma you are carrying when it comes to chanting Buddha's name or any spiritual devotion practice. The Lovers is showing me that the practice works by reconnecting you with your capacity for divine love and authentic choice. Buddha nature is your true nature. When you chant, when you call on that enlightened energy, You are not petitioning some external force to fix you. You are remembering who you actually are beneath all the conditioning and should statements. The karma clearing happens because the practice helps you start making different choices. Not dramatically different at first, but subtly. You might find yourself saying no to things that used to feel mandatory. You might notice you are less interested in performing competence and more interested in actual rest. You might start choosing based on what brings you alive rather than what looks good on paper. I am seeing that for many of you Capricorns, there's a specific relationship or partnership situation connected to this. The lovers can indicate that you are in or have been in connections where you played a role rather than showing your real self. Maybe you were the provider, the responsible one, the parent in the dynamic. And you stayed because leaving felt selfish or irresponsible, not because the relationship was actually aligned with your soul. The lovers is saying that part of your karmic clearing involves learning to choose love over duty. Not in a reckless way, but in a way that honors that your happiness and alignment actually matter. That you are allowed to want what you want. That choosing yourself is not the same as being selfish. What I find really beautiful about the lovers showing up here is that it suggests the answer to your question is yes. Spiritual practice can clear heavy karma, but not by erasing consequences or bypassing lessons. It clears karma by helping you fall back in love with your own life, with your own choices, with the possibility of living authentically. The chanting creates space for you to hear your own heart again beneath all the noise of obligation. I am also picking up that some of you need to hear this. You have been in a spiritual practice thinking it would make you more disciplined, more perfect, more in control. But what if the practice is actually meant to make you softer? What if clearing karma means clearing away the harsh inner voice? That drives you? What if Buddha's compassion is meant to teach you to be compassionate with yourself? The fourth card is King of Wands and Capricorn. This is such a powerful shift in the reading. We have gone from the Fool's innocence through the Tower's destruction and the Lover's choice. And now we arrive at the King of Wands, showing you what is possible on the other side of your karmic clearing. The King of Wands is fire energy at its most mature and directed. This is not the impulsive spark of the page or the adventurous rush of the night. This is someone who knows their power, who leads with vision and inspiration, who creates reality through the force of their will combined with deep spiritual alignment. And I am getting chills because this card is showing me that when you do the work of clearing your karma through spiritual practice, what emerges is a version of you that most Capricorns have not even imagined possible. You are used to the King of Pentacles version of success. The material achievement, the status, the empire building, the tangible results. That is comfortable Capricorn territory. But King of Wands is different. This is about charisma, about inspiration, about leading through vision rather than structure. This is about creative fire, passion projects, making an impact through your authentic enthusiasm, rather than your grinding discipline. What I am seeing is that your heavy karma has been suppressing your fire. All that earth energy, all that responsibility, all that seriousness, it has been dampening your natural enthusiasm and creative spirit. You might not even know you have this side of yourself because it got buried so early. Maybe you were told to be serious, to focus on practical things, to stop dreaming and start working. Maybe every time your fire showed up, it was redirected into productivity rather than genuine passion. The King of Wands is revealing that chanting Buddha's name or engaging in devotional practice is literally rekindling your inner fire. The karma that is clearing is the accumulated weight of all the times you suppressed your passion, ignored your creative impulses, chose safety over inspiration. And as that karma clears, what is being revealed is this vibrant, charismatic, visionary version of you. Here's what really fascinating about this card in this position. The King of Wands suggests that your spiritual practice is not just about personal healing or individual enlightenment. As you clear your karma, you become a light for others. The King of Wands leads, inspires, shows others what is possible. Your journey through the Fool's trust and the Tower's destruction and the Lover's authentic choice is creating a story that will help other people. I am getting that some of you Capricorns are being called to teach, to share your spiritual journey, to become some kind of guide or leader in your community. Not in a guru way necessarily, but in the way that someone who has done deep work naturally becomes a reference point for others. The King of Wands shows up when you are ready to stop hiding your light and start showing people what transformation actually looks like. What strikes me about this card is the confidence. The King of Wands has zero doubt about his right to take up space, to shine, to lead. And for you, Capricorn, who has spent so much time proving your worth through hard work, this energy of natural confidence and ease might feel foreign at first. But this is what is on the other side of your karmic clearing. You get to be powerful without having to suffer for it. You get to lead from inspiration rather than obligation. I am also seeing that the King of Wands represents a new relationship with your masculine energy. Whether you identify as male or female, we all have masculine energy, and for Capricorn, that energy has often been expressed through responsibility and burden. But the King of Wands is showing you a different kind of masculine energy, one that is creative, playful, passionate, inspiring. As you clear your karma, you are liberating this part of yourself, the answer to whether chanting can clear heavy. Karma is yes, and the proof will be in how you feel about yourself and your life. When the King of Wands energy starts flowing through you, when you start making choices based on passion rather than duty, when you start leading with inspiration rather than grinding discipline, you will know the karma is clearing. You will feel different. You will show up different. Let me pull the fifth card because I am curious what comes after this powerful masculine manifestation energy. The fifth card is Seven of Wands and OK Capricorn. This is the reality check that needs to come through. After seeing the possibility of the King of Wands energy, after understanding that spiritual practice can clear your karma and reveal this vibrant, passionate version of you, the Seven of Wands shows up to say that the path is not going to be easy. Seven of Wands is the card of defense, of standing your ground, of fighting to maintain your position. And in the context of this reading about karma and spiritual practice, what I am seeing is that as you start to change, as your karma starts to clear, you're going to face opposition. Not from the universe, but from everyone and everything that benefited from the old version of you. Here is what I mean specifically. Capricorn, you have probably built an entire life around being the responsible one. People depend on you. Systems are structured around your willingness to carry more than your share. Your family knows you as the stable one. Your workplace knows you as the one who never says no. Your friends know you as the helper who always shows up. When you start doing spiritual practice and your karma starts clearing. When you start embodying more of that King of Wands energy and making choices based on passion rather than obligation, people are going to push back. They are going to consciously or unconsciously try to pull you back into the old role. You might face guilt trips, accusations of being selfish, questions about why you have changed. Some relationships might not survive your transformation. The Seven of Wands is showing me that you are going to have to defend your spiritual practice and the changes it creates in you. There will be moments when it feels easier to just go back to the old way, to pick up the burdens again, to be who everyone expects you to be. The pressure can be intense. You are literally standing on higher ground in the Seven of Wands, and everyone below is throwing sticks at you, trying to knock you back down. But here is the deeper message of this card. The opposition you face is actually part of the karma clearing process. Every time you stand your ground, every time you maintain your boundaries, every time you refuse to go back to the old patterns even when it is uncomfortable, you are breaking karmic cycles. You are proving to the universe and to yourself that this time is different. I'm getting specifically that some of you are going to face this opposition from family. Capricorn rules the 10th house, which is associated with family legacy, public reputation, and what we inherit from our lineage. Your heavy karma might include generational patterns of martyrdom, overwork, emotional suppression. When you start breaking these patterns through your spiritual practice, you are not just healing yourself. You are disrupting the entire family system. And systems do not like disruption. Your parents, your siblings, your extended family might not understand why you are chanting Buddha's name or engaging in spiritual practice. They might think you are going through a phase, that you are being irresponsible, that you are abandoning your duties. The Seven of Wands says you need to be prepared for this and stand firm anyway. What I find powerful about this card is that it shows you standing alone but not defeated. You are outnumbered, but you have the high ground. This suggests that even when it feels like everyone is against your transformation, you actually have the advantage. You have alignment with your true path. You have spiritual support, even if you cannot see it. You have right action on your side. The Seven of Wands is also showing me that your spiritual practice itself will be tested. There will be times when chanting feels pointless, when you question whether it is actually working, when you want to give up because you are not seeing immediate results. This is the ego's last stand, the old karmic patterns fighting to survive. The Seven of Wands says you push through these moments. You keep practicing even when it feels hard. You defend your commitment to your own transformation. I want to be really clear about something. The Seven of Wands does not mean you have to fight everyone or cut everyone off. It means you have to be willing to disappoint people in service of your own evolution. It means you have to stand firm in your boundaries, even when others try to guilt you. It means you trust your spiritual path, even when it is unconventional or misunderstood. For some of you, the Seven of Wands might be showing up in your work life. As you clear karma and embody more authentic energy, you might find yourself in conflict with workplace dynamics that expect you to overfunction. You might have to defend your right to reasonable hours, to not take on extra projects, to focus on work that actually aligns with your values rather than just grinding for a paycheck. The shocking truth here is that clearing karma is not just about feeling better or having more peace. It is about fundamentally changing your relationship with external demands. And that change will create friction. The Seven of Wands says that friction is not a sign you are doing something wrong. It is confirmation you are doing something right. Let me pull a Thephanal card because I feel like we need to understand where all of this leads. What the ultimate outcome is. The sixth card is Four of Wands in Capricorn. I literally got emotional when this card showed up because it is such a beautiful conclusion to everything we have been exploring. The Four of Wands is celebration, homecoming, stability that comes from alignment rather than force. This is the answer to your question about whether chanting Buddha's name can clear heavy karma. And the answer is yes, and here is what awaits you on the other side. The Four of Wands appears after weddings, after achievements that matter, after you have done hard work and now get to enjoy the fruits. But what makes this card special in your reading is that it represents a completely different kind of stability than what you have known. Capricorn, you are used to security that comes from control, from hard work, from never letting your guard down. You build stability through constant effort and vigilance. But the Four of Wands is showing me a stability that comes from being in the right place with the right people doing the right thing. It is effortless in a way you are not used to. It is joyful rather than grinding. It is held up by natural support rather than your individual will. This is what your life looks like when your karma is actually clearing. What I am seeing specifically is that all the work you do with spiritual practice, all the disruption of the tower, all the authentic choices of the lovers, all the inspired leadership of King of Wands, all the boundary setting of Seven of Wands, it leads you to a life that actually feels like home. Not home in the sense of childhood patterns or family expectations, but home in the sense of deep alignment with who you really are. The Four of Wands is often called the card of homecoming. For you, Capricorn, this suggests that clearing your karma is ultimately about coming home to yourself. You have been exiled from your authentic nature for so long, living in patterns of duty and obligation. The spiritual practice is the journey back. And when you arrive, when your karma clears enough that you can actually be yourself without all the defensive structures and compensating patterns. The Four of Wands says there will be celebration. I am seeing community in this card. The Four of Wands shows people gathered together in joy. This suggests that as you clear your karma and become more authentic, you attract your true soul family. Not people who need you to be the responsible one, but people who celebrate you for who you actually are. People who support your fire, who honor your boundaries, who meet you as an equal rather than looking to you to carry them. For some of you, the Four of Wands might literally represent a celebration coming. Maybe a wedding or commitment ceremony once you have done the work of authentic relationship shown in the Lovers. Maybe a creative project launch that comes from the King of Wands energy. Maybe a milestone that marks your transformation visible to your community. But beyond specific events, the Four of Wands is showing me a quality of life. It is waking up and feeling grateful. It is having energy for the things that matter because you are not exhausting yourself on obligations. It is being surrounded by people who uplift you. It is work that feels inspiring rather than draining. It is a nervous system that finally gets to rest because you are not constantly in survival mode. The Four of Wands confirms that, yes, spiritual practice like chanting Buddha's name can absolutely clear heavy karma. And the proof will not just be in mystical experiences or spiritual insights. The proof will be in your actual life becoming more joyful, more aligned, more sustainable. You will know your karma is clearing when your life starts, feeling less like a burden and more like a celebration. What really moves me about this card as your final message is that it promises you get to enjoy your life. Capricorn, you are so used to delaying gratification, to believing that reward only comes after endless work. But the Four of Wands says that as you clear your karma, joy becomes your baseline rather than a distant goal. You get to celebrate while you are still on the journey, not just at some imaginary finish line. I'm also seeing that the Four of Wands represents a harvest. You have planted seeds through your spiritual practice. You have watered them with your dedication and discipline, with your willingness to face the tower's destruction and stand your ground like Seven of Wands. And now there is a harvest. The karma clearing bears fruit in tangible ways. Better relationships, better health, better work, better everything.